anyway. So, acting the part, living the part, but denying the power thereof. That can cut both ways. The reason I read this, and you can read the rest later, the reason I read this and when dealing with this for going to prayer is I want to point out the importance of recognizing the climate into which we're going to have to minister. Externally and internally, there's going to be problems and issues. So when Paul says the last days, I don't think we read into the text that it's going to be a very, very problematic atmosphere and climate that we're going to operate in. And this is not to draw fear from any of these issues, or in no sense, because we can be successful, because Jesus said we should pray to the Father that he send laborers into his vineyard, for the harvest is ripe, but the laborers are few. Now, I've always understood ripe harvest to indicate a process is undergone, and now things are breaking out. And in the process of the harvest, if you look at it from a husbandry point of view, from a farmer's point of view, even though the crop has grown and the crop is ready and ripe, it is presented with other issues that indicate you must get it into the baskets before something happens to hurt it, before now the full-grown locust or insect or animals now see that the harvest is ripe and they come to get it, or the weather changes and causes a problem. Like a few days from now, strong winds come in and the fragile harvest that is now hanging on the vine because of its weight can easily fall off, is in jeopardy if you don't pick it before the wind carries it away. So to me, perilous times are exact. They're proper. We took a break to come in for 30 days, and we're going to go back out in September should the weather be right. I don't know what it's going to be like, but I want to do some work in September. I haven't stopped. I had to follow instruction. The Lord said we need to bring ourselves in because our minds aren't ready for this, and we need to get ready. So we had to kind of put it in park. But certainly, we'll do a little bit again at the other side of this month. But the point of the matter is this is the atmosphere we're going to be in. So it's important for the young people, for the saints of age, to recognize that all of these swirling winds of confusion, of blasphemies, disobedient, parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truth breakers, false accusers, incontent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasure more than lovers of God, and having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. That's the reality of the harvest. That's the reality of the harvest. It's not a green open field with just harvest blowing gently in the wind, bright sunshiny sky, and we just go saunter through and we pick them up and put them in the basket, barely breaking a sweat. No. It's in the middle of strong headwinds that are validated by municipalities and by school systems that say to them, all of this is good. All of this is right. You have the support of your community. Forget what those church people are talking. I was thinking, how do we preach and minister in this season? How do we do this? Because see, for me, I'm not about to tell off. And what I mean by that is, I'm not doing this to tell folk off, to make them out to be so bad and wrong, and God gonna get you, and you ain't no good, and you got a demon and the devil. That's not why I do this. And if you do that, you got an issue. If that makes you feel good to put people down and to read the passages of scriptures that drive them to hell, you're sick. Because Jesus didn't even do that. He only dealt with that at that level when he dealt with those individuals who thought the song was about them. And they were supposed to be the ones who were helping people that oppose themselves, and they were the biggest problem. So them rascals he had to deal with. But when the woman was taken in adultery, he didn't throw her under the bus. Those guys that were supposed to help her but throwing her under the bus, they were using her for a political statement to be divisive. Jesus didn't fall for it. And so that's not why I do this. I don't do this to call out folks that are homosexual. That doesn't make me feel good. I don't enjoy doing that. It's just the reality. I do this because I recognize that's the responsibility of the believer in the heart of God. That's why I do this. So I can get past all of these issues. I can deal with this because I don't enter the field expecting green grass blowing, bright sunny skies, and don't have to break a sweat. I say Jesus, and they fall down and accept him. Absolutely not. They will be covetous, boastful, proud, blasphemer, all the way through the list I've read from verse number 2 down to verse number 5b. No, it's not why we do this. It's not why we do this. But what's important to note is this is what we're going to have to do it in. And these conditions will be in family circles, among friends, among your coworkers. And so this is where that phrase, wise as a serpent, harmless as a dove. Notice the dimensions. The serpent is close to the ground. The dove is high in the air and visible. And the two ideas is the one close to the ground slithers. It is a scary sight, but he's stealth. And he strikes before they know it. They've been bitten. Now, in this case, it's not a poisonous bite. It's a righteous bite. And when a snake bites you with venom, and then it gets into your blood system, pretty much, it's a part of you. So the snake bite from the believer should be stealth, and it should penetrate, and its effect should be that penetrates the body. In order for it to penetrate the body, there must be some kind of cooperation psychologically, and they're not mad at you because you are out there waving your signs and preaching them into hell, because after all, it feels good to condemn folk and make them afraid of God. That's not what this is about. But the dove is the next aspect. The dove is the lofty, soft, acceptable idea, or the part of what you have. And so those things are important, because in the middle will be all of these things we just mentioned: blasphemy, disobedient parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, false accusers, despisers of those that are good. All of that will be in the middle. So we must understand that's the climate that we're in, and it's appropriate because it's the last days, it's perilous times. So the tendency to not want to is easy. To take the spirit of Jeremiah and say, God, they won't hear me. It's easy to do that. That I won't speak anymore on his behalf, but his word was like fire shut up in my bones. It's easy to do like Elijah and just leave because you don't kill the prophets and folks still trying to take you out. You escaping through the wilderness. It's easy to not want to do this because after all, you got this good stuff, but don't nobody want it. Well, that is the idea. You got to be about it. You got to have some kind of discipline, some acceptance of what's in front of you, and seek God for a strategy to help those that oppose themselves. Now, this is in your families. This is on your jobs. This is at your school, young people. Always be prayerful. And I'll close before I pray with this. One of the things that I find myself constantly doing since I've pastored this ministry without fail, every single year, for about 36 years now, when the year ends, my thoughts are, how can I do this more effectively? Without fail. Every year, I don't rest on, well, we done this, and we done bought this, and we had that, and I'm good. Not one time since the buying of property when the bank said we couldn't have it, since the things God has done for us, not one time in the year's end have I ever looked back and reflected and thought, wow, we got it going on. I'm always looking forward, asking myself this question, and this is your question. This is your prayer question. How can I do this better?